Government setting scene for next medium-term development plan. Lay police to crack down on illegal settlements. And city stakeholders want better transport system.
This is National EMTV News with Helen Sayer.
Good evening and thanks for joining us for Friday's news. Government is on the verge of creating the framework of the third medium-term development plan. National Planning Minister Richard Marus says a key aspect is to capture inclusive input from all stakeholders. He says with the focus to create a deliberate plan, greater effort is needed to grow the economy by increasing exports over imports.
The Planning Minister says the third medium-term development plan will focus specifically on building the economy. Minister Maru says this has been overlooked in past MTDP plans. He says with the country under extreme economic stress, a comprehensive review with all stakeholders will help in formulating the MTDP 3.
We've had two of such plans, medium-term development plan number 1 and number 2, which concluded last year. And we are now in the process of formulating and finalizing the plan that this government will use to basically anchor our development pathway and prioritize funding and see to it that we deliver the projects and programs that we need to deliver so our country can deliver on our Vision 2050 and other plans that we are aligning all our 5-year plans to.
The country has achieved so much in infrastructure, health, education and law and order sector. But Minister Maru says the revenue generated within the country is relatively low. He says consultation with provincial governments, members of parliament and district authorities should capture the potential of districts in building income for the country.
The biggest single problem in our country today is we have failed to build the economy over the last 42 years. Despite all the land we have, despite the resource endowments, despite the large unemployed youth population we have in our country, as a country we haven't built the economy. That's why planning is very deliberate, consistent with Accord number 2. Economic growth has to be the number 1 priority of this country.
Part of the consultative process is the recent Leh Summit. The Planning Department will also review the performance of the MTDP 1 and 2. Goroka, Kokopo, Central and Medang will host the 4 regional meetings starting May.
But we'd like to see a holistic, consultative approach to putting together the plan for the country. But importantly, we take ownership right from the beginning. With everyone being consulted and being involved right from the beginning, there is ownership and we can all implement the plan together.
The Planning Minister says MTDP 3 should be finalized before mid-June for Cabinet to endorse. The third medium-term development plan is to be executed from 2018 to 2022. Jack Lapave Jr., National EMTV News.
A government delegation will leave for New Zealand this weekend for bilateral talks. Planning Minister Richard Marus says this is to look at opportunities and the potential PNG can learn from New Zealand's agriculture sector. Minister Marus says the 4-day visit will advance the cooperation between the two countries.
We'll be meeting with the Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister of New Zealand, also the Agriculture Minister of New Zealand. Among others that will visit the private sector of New Zealand, will be visiting institutions and having high-level discussions with New Zealand on how we can improve the relationship between our two countries and deepen it even further. One area that we want to also take time to spend some time on is to try and secure more private investment from New Zealand. And agriculture is one sector that we would love to have some New Zealand investment.
Following a growing number of illegal settlements in the city, Lay Police will be organising a stakeholders meeting next week to address this issue. Lay Police boss Anthony Wagambi Jr. says this will be treated as a law and order issue because these areas become breeding grounds for criminal elements.
This will be the first meeting held towards setting up a working committee to address the issues of new illegal settlements that are being established here in Ley on state land. It is an initiative of the Ley Police boss Anthony Wagambi Jr. This settlement along the Bumbu River is on state land. It was removed more than twice before by the authorities. However, it has been rebuilt. This is just one of many other settlements that are growing in Lae. This has raised public concerns with regards to law and order issues. Mr. Wagambi says this will be treated as a law and order issue because many of the perpetrators of petty crimes live in these areas. The working committee will focus mainly on new illegal settlers before they become permanent. Mr. Wagambi is calling on the support of the provincial and district administrations to carry out these activities. Lucy Kopana, National EMTV News, Lae.
A delegation of PMV owners and operators will be travelling to East New Britain to learn from PMV operators there. The delegation will be led by the CRC MP Dr. Kobi Bomareo and Lae MP John Rosso. This is part of moves by the Lae District, police and stakeholders to improve Lae City's transport system.
After more than 20 years, Lae City is finally taking serious steps to improve its public transport system. Next month, a delegation from the newly formed PMV Transport Association will be travelling to East New Britain to learn from their experiences. The man in charge of the Transport Board, Dr. Kobi Bomareo, says this is an important step towards that improvement. Lae is looking to local models of transport efficiency, and East New Britain has arguably one of the best models that can be applied to Papua New Guinea's second largest city.
Bus all must clean, must run him good routes belong all passengers too, all must pay him good fee belong all mark him belong, at the same time bus stops too, the whole bus stop area, me like him, he must have coordination.
Transport owners were put on notice earlier this year to clean up their act. It's hoped that by the end of the year, there will be cleaner buses and a much better regulated transport system. Scott Waide, National EMTV News, Lae.
The Department of Works is reconstructing 32.4 kilometres of the Buluminski Highway in New Ireland. The 39.4 million kina project, once finished, is expected to help communities access markets and services and boost the tourism industry in the province. Works Secretary David Were is happy with the progress. He was quoted saying the project will finally link the centres of Namatanai and Kavieng with 265 kilometres of sealed, maintainable road. He also highlighted that because Buluminski Highway is an essential economic corridor for the nation, completing the project was vital. More than 140 local residents are employed on the project, and works are expected to be completed by the end of December this year. You're at National EMTV News. We go for our first break now, but stick around. We'll have more of today's top stories when we come back. Stay tuned. Welcome back. 5 young men were shot dead in Tari at around 5 p.m. yesterday. The men, mostly in their early 20s, were mourning a relative's death who was killed in a tribal clash about 2 weeks ago. In the presence of the villagers, men from a rival tribe armed with guns ordered them to run. The men were trying to escape when they were shot dead. The youngest, aged 15, was taken and mutilated by the attackers. He was rushed to the hospital but didn't survive after 2 hours of surgery. Acting Southern Highlands Provincial Administrator Joseph Kajitan is urging public servants and people in the province to work together for the better. Mr. Kajitan says the province needs restoration and work cannot begin if criticisms continue. He says he is prepared to work with all stakeholders and also thank the previous predecessors. However, Mr. Kajitan is urging the higher authority to release financial powers so work can begin. Kajitan was appointed on the 12th of April.
I want to appeal to the authorities who are responsible for giving us the financial powers to please understand our situation on the ground. As I say, as I'm speaking, I repeat, there is no power, no water. How can public servants operate without water, without power, no office? They're all over the place. We need the money. We need the money to pay for the water bills. We need the money to pay for the maintenance of the offices.
Over 80 graduates successfully completed the 3-week personal viability course facilitated by Human Development Institute at Bomana Correctional Institute. The participants were minimum security detainees, correctional staff and the dependents. The next intake will begin their courses in the 2nd week of May.
The Human Development Institute graduated over 80 students today at their campus at the Correctional Institute at Bomana. These students comprised of detainees from the Minimum Security Unit, both male and female, Bomana Correctional Institute staff and staff dependents.
To drive our vision and mission, to bring in the kind of development that is suitable for especially our inmates in terms of their rehabilitation. That is described in our policy, rehabilitation policy.
Founder and CEO of HDI, Samuel Tam, applauded the graduates. It was a journey that began in 2002 when he started a program called Loving Service to the Needy. He also challenged them to use the new knowledge that they received.
Rid of this idea of something for nothing. There's no such thing in this world. You have to pay for everything. That is the reason, if you listen to the words of the Bible, give to receive. You have to give before you receive. You have to pay for it.
Detainee John Bali says the training changed his outlook on life.
Me saw slave law, all man outside na. Me no been realizing myself. Me got resources tab law, place blow me. Me na blow kirapi one black in business blow me outside. But me no been sawe. But true Lord is like cause me how much no go to me line planning something that one black time me losing money that me go outside and me by walking. Some black something salo place blow me.
Suzanne Orovea, whose husband is a correctional officer, has a small business. She now knows how to make her money grow.
Now, today me graduate, me start looking own business blow me. Starting month on like something, that's when me start law. Increasing my business blow me. The skills me lining penis, so me must use simple skills.
Correctional officer Kavora Mariosu told us that his way of thinking has changed.
But kami atin sa training so mi look sa mi man to ya mi got skills na sabi staff so help me lo sem mi masusin sila sabi na skills plomilo help me at na community plomina family plomina pesin environment mi work again.
HDI staff Barbara Nenewa says she enjoys working with this group and was excited for their future.
Whatever that they need is not out of reach, it's just within them. They just need to get up and do something for themselves, and yeah.
This is a new public-private sector initiative to rehabilitate inmates in a practical manner so they may find it easier to reintegrate back into society after prison. The correctional services cannot meet all requirements in terms of resources, and that is where HDI can help. Lilian Sopera-Kinea, National EMTV News.
Schools in Madang province are yet to receive their second batch of payments for their tuition fee-free this year and are likely to send students home. Provincial TFF Coordinator Igorura Doria says at least 4 high schools and 300 elementary and primary schools in the province will be affected if they don't receive their second payment on time. Mr. Doria says some schools only got half of their TFF payment and not the full amount as before.
There are at least 1,000 primary, elementary and secondary schools in Madang province, and most of them are operating without tuition fee-free money. Provincial TFF Coordinator Igorura Doria says most of the schools in the province will be forced to send students home if the delays continue.
So these are some of the things that the schools are facing. Many schools are about to close and they are asking me if I know anything about TFF coming in. I normally tell them no. But we predict, what I told them was before end of March and beginning of May, but I don't think it will be paid during that time. Until the government gets some money funding elsewhere and get them ready, I think they will get the next payment.
Most of the rural schools would be affected because they spend a lot of their money on transportation. Mr. Doria says schools have not been providing acquittals of the TFF fund that have been given.
I don't know how they're using their money. I don't get acquittals from them too, you see. That's a problem. If they're giving me acquittals, I could know where they're spending. They cannot give me excuses of water supply, electricity. They can manage to control the power, use of water.
Mr. Doria further stated that most schools in the province are not organized.
Many schools are not organized. They do not plan and they don't budget to spend what they would spend on. Boards are not working with the TICs or teachers and all this, you see. They're looking at TFF as a free money and they're using it for their own personal use, you see. There are many schools. Looking at, when I go through the acquittals, many times I make a lot of comments on that.
The TFF coordinator says schools right in town are not also submitting their acquittals. Thus, the Provincial Education Department has no knowledge on where and how they are spending their money on.
No acquittals coming in. How can we know where they are spending money? They have to know it's a government money, they have to acquit them. So if they say they're running out of money, they don't budget for it, they don't plan ahead and follow what they should be spending on.
Martha Louise, National EMTV News, Medang.
Stories making headlines overseas when we come back. Among them, the historic meeting between North and South Korea. Stick around for details. Welcome back to the news. Turning overseas, well, the US president's vitriol on Twitter is well known, but on Thursday, he unloaded during a call to a television show. Also in the Rose Garden being with a bunch of kids. He vented his frustration on a stew of topics, and it was a long list.
Talking to children gathered in the Rose Garden.
Only we ask friendly questions today. We don't want to embarrass your children.
President Trump used some adult language to complain about White House Dr. Ronnie Jackson's decision to withdraw his name from consideration for Secretary of Veterans Affairs.
He's a great man, and he got treated very, very unfairly. He got treated really unfairly, and he's a hell of a man.
The president was already fired up about Jackson after a wild phone interview on his favorite morning TV show, Fox and Friends, where he threatened to go after Democratic Senator John Tester for raising questions about the White House doctor's past.
I think John Tester has to have a big price to pay in Montana, because I don't think people in Montana, the admiral is the kind of person that they respect and admire, and they don't like seeing what's happened.
Sometimes shouting into the phone, the president made other threats, sounding as if he won't cooperate with the special counsel's Russia investigation.
They have a witch hunt against the President of the United States going on. I've taken the position, and I don't have to take this position, and maybe I'll change, that I will not be involved with the Justice Department. I will wait till this is over.
He also weighed in on former FBI Director James Comey, who claims the president denied spending the night in Moscow in 2013 when, as alleged in a dossier written by a former British spy, Mr. Trump watched prostitutes urinate on each other. But the president seemed to confirm that he did spend the night in Moscow in 2013.
He put a lot of phony stuff. For instance, I went to Russia for a day or so, a day or two, because I own the Miss Universe pageant. So I went there to watch it because it was near Moscow. So I go to Russia. Now, I didn't go there. Everybody knows the logs are there, the planes are there. He said I didn't stay there at night. Of course I stayed there. I stayed there a very short period of time, but of course I stayed.
The president also acknowledged for the first time that he is represented in the Stormy Daniels saga by his personal attorney, Michael Cohen.
How are you feeling today? Feel great.
Who's also under federal investigation.
He represents me, like with this crazy Stormy Daniels deal. He represented me, and you know, from what I see, he did absolutely nothing wrong.
When the conversation turned to North Korea, the president said his upcoming meeting with dictator Kim Jong-un may not happen after all. Still, the White House teased the potential sit-down by releasing these stunning images of new Secretary of State Mike Pompeo with the North Korean dictator over Easter weekend.
It could be that I walk out quickly, with respect, but it could be that maybe the meeting doesn't even take place. Who knows? But I can tell you right now, they want to meet.
As the president ranted and raved, it was the Fox host who seemed to cut off the interview.
There is no collusion with me and Russia, and everyone knows it.
Everyone, we could talk to you all day, but it looks like you have a million things to do. But I hope you could join us again, Mr. President.
On the other end of Pennsylvania Avenue, another cabinet headache for the president played out as EPA Administrator Scott Pruitt addressed a series of heated questions about his ethical behavior.
I've made decisions to switch and make sure that we make changes from first class back to coach.
You are unfit to hold public office and undeserving of the public trust.
Aides of the president were watching his performance on Fox and Friends. As one official described it, staffers were, quote, wincing over some of the president's comments, especially his remarks about the Russia investigation. Even to friendly media outlets, some of his aides wish he just wouldn't go there.
The world is tonight wondering whether we witness the beginning of the process towards lasting peace on the Korean peninsula in an historical first. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un stepped onto South Korean soil for a meeting with his South Korean counterpart Moon Jae-in. Experts are skeptical the talks will produce anything meaningful, but today's carefully choreographed meeting did come with an unscripted gesture.
Surrounded by security guards, North Korea's Kim Jong-un had the world's cameras on him as he strode towards the border with his warring neighbour. Sporting a smile, he shook hands with South Korean President Moon Jae-in over the divide, a simple slither of concrete in the demilitarised zone. Then, a moment in history, a small step for Mr. Kim as he became the first North Korean leader to set foot in the South since the Korean War 65 years ago. But it would be a giant step towards the hope for lasting peace between the two Koreas. It's been described as the photo op of the century. What followed, though, was totally unplanned. A gesture from Mr. Kim to President Moon to pop over onto his patch, taking the South Korean leader by the hand. A warm human moment, or clear evidence of the dictator's political cunning. The meeting returned to script. The leaders, flanked by a traditional honour guard, made their way along the red carpet to the building known as the Peace House. Kim Jong-un signing the guest book. Then the landmark talks got underway.
There are a lot of people hoping for the best result. I am worried we will disappoint them if we do not follow up on good agreements from the past and take this opportunity to improve our relationship.
I hope we can have a conversation and reach an agreement so we can give our citizens and everyone around the world who hope for peace a big gift.
At the top of the agenda, denuclearisation. South Korea and the US want the North to get rid of their nuclear weapons. Kim Jong-un may have other ideas. Kim's upcoming meeting with US President Donald Trump hinges on the success or failure of these talks. The White House has released pictures of the new Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo, meeting Kim in Pyongyang over Easter, when he was still the CIA director. But this morning, President Trump, speaking on Fox News, said this.
Could be that I walk out quickly, with respect, but it could be that maybe the meeting doesn't even take place. Who knows?
With another session of talks ahead, it'll be later tonight before we learn whether an historic occasion brings historic results.
Now, he was once one of America's most popular entertainers, but tonight Bill Cosby is on home detention and facing jail time. The jury at his retrial today found he is guilty of drugging and sexually assaulting Andrea Constant in 2004.
The man they called America's Dad was defiant arriving at court to hear the verdict. It took the jury just 14 hours to find Bill Cosby guilty on all 3 counts of aggravated indecent assault. The relief palpable for his victim, Andrea Constant, and the other Cosby accusers in the courtroom, seen breaking down after the verdict.
Bill Cosby, 3 words for you. Guilty, guilty, guilty!
Cosby's now facing a sentence of up to 30 years in prison for drugging and sexually assaulting Constant in 2004. His wife absent for the verdict, the comedian stood alone and silent, his lawyers though vowing to fight on.
We are very disappointed by the verdict. We don't think Mr. Cosby is guilty of anything, and the fight is not over.
Throughout both trials, Bill Cosby has been quiet and restrained.
But after the verdict, we saw a different side to the comedian, lashing out at lawyers trying to revoke his bail. As prosecutors told the judge that Cosby was a flight risk because he has a private plane, Cosby stood up and yelled across the courtroom, "He doesn't have a plane, you expletive."
Cosby is tonight on home detention, confined to the same house where he drugged and sexually assaulted Andrea Constant.
What was revealed through this investigation was a man who had spent decades preying on women that he drugged and sexually assaulted, and a man who had evaded this moment here today for far too long.
More than 60 women have made allegations against the actor stretching back decades. Their cases are too old for criminal prosecution, so many felt this verdict was also for them, and it's the first since the Me Too movement exploded.
And when they said verdict, guilty. Oh my God, unbelievable, unbelievable.
It's also a victory for all sexual assault survivors, female and male.
We are so happy that finally we can say women are believed, and not only on #MeToo, but in a court of law.
So tonight, Bill Cosby's spectacular fall from grace is complete. An American icon, now a convicted sex offender.
Now, do you have what it takes to be a spy? Now's your chance to find out with New Zealand's Security Intelligence Service launching a recruitment drive. And for the first time, an active surveillance officer has been allowed to talk about his job.
I'm an operational man. I take my pension. I don't want a desk job.
I want you to stay out in the cold.
These days, recruiting secret agents is a little less secret.
Well, it's not shoulder tapping anymore in the NZSIS. That's not how we work. So this is an open recruitment process.
The Security Intelligence Service recruitment drive starts today with a bid to find new surveillance officers. They're the frontline spies who keep an eye on people identified as a threat.
Sometimes they'll be in cars, sometimes they're on foot, but it's their job to observe what's going on. And to provide that information.
We're the eyes and ears of the organisation, and we're there to collect information that is not possible to collect in any other means.
Jim has been doing the job for nearly 20 years.
It is exciting sometimes, you need a lot of patience on other days, but on the whole you never know what you're going to be getting into that day, and it really does make a difference.
007.
Q. The job comes with some high-tech gadgets.
There's no Aston Martins and not too many Martinis now. But no, there's some cool stuff, and we get our hands on a lot of expensive kit.
The SIS is recruiting in the Auckland area, and they want those from Maori, Pacific and Asian backgrounds. That's because currently more than 2/3 of the service staff are Pakeha.
What we want is a workforce that reflects the community that we serve. So, and it can be a challenge in an organisation like NZSIS where everybody has to be a New Zealand citizen.
Applicants should be observant, have a good memory and be a good driver.
A little bit of street savvy is always good. You need to be resilient, and you need a good level of integrity.
But while the recruitment drive is public, wannabe spies will have to keep their applications top secret.
You're with Friday's News. We'll bring you Trukai Sports up next. Don't go away.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. To football, the National Soccer League enters its final round of matches this weekend. Defending champions Toti City will be out to cement their third minor premiership title in their last match against Buang FC in late tomorrow.
Hoping to secure their third minor premiership title in the National Soccer League Challenge, Toti City will be gunning for a victory against a much softer opponent in Buang FC, who are currently sitting on the bottom of the NSL points ladder. The boys from the PNGFA Football Academy, Best of PNG United, will take a road trip up to Madang to face the home side and last year's runners-up Madang FC. Madang will be banking on the home crowd support to get past Best of PNG United, but are even weary of a potential upset by the youngsters and will do all they can to keep that from happening this Saturday at the Lai Warden Oval in Madang. Madang team manager Gary Moka, in an interview with PNGFA, said Madang FC have a good home record this year, winning all their home matches and drew only one game, and they will do all they can to maintain that record. Veteran midfielder Neil Hans and Hansen Topio are the most likely players to direct traffic in centre field, while young Abel Redinat is the man to control Madang's defense and mount pressure on Best's forwards. While over at the St. Ignatius Kilagi Stadium in Leh, Toti City will be looking to complete their unbeaten run through the season. Meanwhile, FC Momase is on a bye, while the match between FC Morobe Wawans and Southern Strikers will be played as a washout match. Shane Saroya, National EMTV Sports.
The Brian Bell Group today announced being a silver sponsor for the up-and-coming netball tournament. It donated equipment to help the PNG Mixed Men's Netball Association prepare for it. PNG will be hosting this inaugural Trans-Pacific Cup in August. The PNG Mixed Men's Netball Association, since its inception in 2016, has seen rapid growth.
Brian Bell Group donated equipment to the PNG Mixed Men's Netball Association to help them prepare for the inaugural Trans-Pacific Cup in August. The equipment includes a 40-litre water cooler, 95-litre esky and 25 netballs.
Sir Brian Bell's always been an avid supporter of sports in PNG, and this is just another embodiment of what he has done, and he's left his legacy, and we're just carrying it through. So Brian Bell is proud to be associated with this new association, and we're happy to donate these goods that you can find here at Brian Bell.
PNG Mixed Men's Netball Association has seen rapid growth since the beginning. They started with 12 teams and now have more than 30.
From 12 teams that took part back then to now 30 teams, we have well over 450 participants. In the month of August, we host the inaugural Trans-Pacific Cup.
Brian Bell Group is the silver sponsor for the Trans-Pacific Cup, which will commence in August. Godwin Eki, National EMTV Sports.
To Cricket Now, and International Training Institute presented a cheque of 25,000 kina to Port Moresby Cricket Association to support their cricket programs for 2018. President and Managing Director of ITI, Senthil Kuraman Senthivel, says this is not the first time ITI has come on board to support many of the players in the associations. Most of the players in the association are students of International Training Institute.
So we'll continue to support them because we do see a lot of value in that, because you are supporting people who are unemployed and those people on the streets, and the kids who can actually come up. They think if with this kind of contribution or organization, those people who left out of the system. So this gives an opportunity for them to go even at the international level into the PNG cricket as well. So I think it's a very important organization for cricket. And we hope that they and POM Cricket and PNG Cricket get together to do it at national level. We always wanted to help Port Moresby Cricket because they were not funded well in the past. They have improved now, but they were not funded. But most of even the PNG Cricket and everything is a lot of the people who play there come from Port Moresby Cricket. They got about 700, close to 700 players at different levels. So we are here to develop at the ground level to help them out.
Updates on day 2 of the Oceania Under-18 Youth Olympic qualifiers, and the Sir John Guy's Hockey Pavilion saw strong plays from the Aussies once more, with both the men's and women's teams winning all matches so far.
Earlier yesterday, PNG women's team took on Solomon Islands in an effort to recover from day one losses. Unfortunately, the Solomon Islanders denied them that win with a 3-2 scoreline. That led to yesterday afternoon's match against Vanuatu, where both sides managed to record a point each on the scoreboard in the first 2 quarters. And with Australia already having the advantage of leading by points, PNG and Vanuatu knew how important it is to make it to the top 3, hence the tough battle to gain lead in the last quarter. Vanuatu eventually scored a deciding goal in the dying minutes of that match.
With the young ladies, PNG girls, the first 3 games that we've had, it was a learning process for them. And the games that they've just played, it was a much better, much settled game and a lot more coordinations with the young ladies.
Meanwhile, Australia remains the tournament leaders in both divisions, while PNG and Solomon Islands are most likely to make it to the 3rd and 4th playoff tomorrow. The top 3 in the women's and top 2 in the men's of this 4-team competition will be making their appearances at the Youth Olympics later this year in Argentina. Dinero Sraiko, National EMTV Sports.
Trukai Sports continues with more after these messages. Stay tuned.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome back to Trukai Sports. The latest NRL prodigy has been unleashed by the Brisbane Broncos in Sydney.
18-year-old Payne Haas of Swiss, Filipino and Samoan extraction was once on the Warriors' books but now has a cluster of much better-heeled clubs chasing him. And the 120-kilogram, 1.94-centimetre prop enhanced his already growing stature when he helped the Broncos beat the Rabbitohs 24-20.
Alex Glenn get down low and then look at him drive him back.
Kiwi utility Cody Nikorima amongst the try scorers as the Broncos improve to 8th on the NRL ladder.
Commonwealth Games breakthrough in hammer throw is Julia Ratcliffe. Her gold medal performances can be traced back to her garden.
Heard of backyard cricket, but try doing hammer throw right on your doorstep.
Dad was out in the backyard with the 100-metre tape, measuring out the logistics of where the hammer circle would go.
If we'd have hit the house, then my wife most probably would have said, off you go.
Fortunately, there's been no mishaps for the coach and daughter duo yet. Their home facility, the perfect training ground for track and field's latest star. This is Julia's collection with a total of 27 hammers, the lightest being 2 kgs and the heaviest being 8. Surprisingly, it didn't start with the hammer for the 24-year-old. She showed promise in the hurdles, winning the North Island champs, but found out the hard way running wasn't her thing.
She'd run 100 metres. She'd always get left for dead. She's quite explosive, but she wasn't really built to sort of run anything over 20 metres.
From plotter to an explosive thrower, Julia Ratcliffe's victory on the Gold Coast, her best result to date. But the Princeton economics graduate is taking some time away from the hammer after shouldering an injury for almost a year.
The joints that attach your collarbone to your sternum, and they were subluxing, so like partially dislocating.
She'll focus on rehab before eyeing up her next big event, the World Champs in October next year. Then it'll be Tokyo and the chance to compete at her first Olympic Games.
The world record holder is still competing, so it's kind of like the best it's ever been, which is incredible. But no, it'll just be what dreams are made of, really.
Still in a spin from her Commonwealth Games glory, a chance at an even greater gold might not be too far off.
Kiwi golfer and world number 18 Lydia Ko has had one of her better days to start her championships in San Francisco.
Her round before any of the cameras were rolling, but her 4 under par 68 means she's tied for the lead. It was one of the Kiwis' best rounds since her slump in form saw her slip to 18th in the world rankings.
It's a golf course where nobody goes super low, so you just have to keep continuing to play solid and be patient out there, and sometimes par is not a bad score.
One place she wasn't making any shots was off the course, celebrating her 21st birthday on Wednesday after she forgot her ID.
The guy couldn't serve me, so maybe I'll have a shot after this Sunday.
Yes, Ko will be hoping one of her birthday presents will be a third trophy at the Lake Merced, where she won her maiden title back in 2014.
And that wraps up True Kai Sports. Up next, the weather details for the next 24 hours.
True Kai Sports. True Kai Sports.
The weather details were proudly brought to you by Dulux, celebrating 50 years in PNG and the only paint made in PNG.
Looking at the weather forecast for tonight and tomorrow, in the southern region and Port Moresby, cloudy with little rain showers tonight. In the morning, showers and cloudy periods tomorrow. In Daru, becoming partly cloudy with cloudy periods expected tomorrow. In Kerema, showers and thunderstorms tonight, couple of thunderstorms tomorrow morning. Cloudy periods with thunderstorms in Alotau tonight, and some morning thunderstorm can be expected tomorrow. In Popondetta, cloudy periods with a thunderstorm and a couple of morning thunderstorms tomorrow. In the Mumasi region, rain showers tonight with some thunderstorm, heavy thunderstorm in the morning. In Medang, cloudy showers tonight with cloudy periods expected tomorrow. In Wewak, evening showers tonight, clouds with some rain expected tomorrow. In Vanimo, showers and thunderstorm tonight with rain showers expected tomorrow. In New Guinea Islands region, showers with cloudy periods in Lorengau and Kavieng. In Kimbe, cloudy periods with thunderstorms. In Rabaul, Kokopo and Buka, cloudy periods with thunderstorms. In the Highlands region, rain showers in Goroka. In Kundiawa, cloudy periods with a thunderstorm. In Mount Hagen, heavy rain showers tonight. In Mendi, cloudy with thunderstorms. And in Wabeg and Tari, evening thunderstorm.
The weather details were proudly brought to you by Dulux, celebrating 50 years in PNG and the only paint made in PNG.
Before we go, here's a look at our main stories again. Government already planning for MTDP3. Illegal settlement crackdown in Lae, and Lae City wants a better transport system. And that's how it is for today, Friday, 27th of April 2018. On behalf of the entire MTV News team, pleasant viewing and good night.